I thought the family barbecue would be just another weekend gathering until it became my public humiliation, Mom wielding scissors, Dad pinning my shoulders, and my cousin's laughter ringing out, "Now she's funny." Have you ever had your own family violate your body to teach you to be proper? I have, and that night, I decided to pay them back in full, by their own rules. Listen, my revenge wasn't screaming or crying. It was pressing play right under their spotlight. My name is Ava Sterling, and I've spent the last decade untangling financial lies for a living. Ironic, considering I grew up in a family that built their empire on appearances. The Saturday of the incident started like any Sterling family production. My parents' estate in Hawthorne Ridge sparkled under string lights. The backyard transformed into what my mother Loretta called casual elegance, white tablecloths on picnic tables, mason jars filled with peonies, and a dress code that was anything but casual. Smart attire, polished presentation. The group text had specified, "Translation, look like you stepped out of our company brochure." Sterling Soiree was celebrating 35 years of orchestrating other people's perfect moments. My father, Graham, had built it from a one-man DJ service into the Rust Belt's premier event planning empire. My mother ran her parallel universe a finishing school for young women, teaching them how to sit, stand, and smile their way into acceptability. I arrived at 4:15 p.m., my natural curls loose around my shoulders, wearing a navy sheath dress that cost more than most people's rent, professional enough for any boardroom, but apparently not for a Sterling family photo op. "Ava, darling." My mother's voice carried that particular pitch of disappointment wrapped in endearment. I specifically said hair should be neat. "It is neat. Mom, I had it styled this morning." She circled me like a buyer inspecting merchandise. "It's uncontrolled. Wild. What will the Brennans think they're considering us for their daughter's debutante ball?" The Brennans. Of course. Every family gathering doubled as a business showcase. My cousin Brielle bounced over, phone already extended for a selfie. 22 and TikTok famous for her Midwest glamour tips. She'd turned being a Sterling into her personal brand. Ava loved the dress. The hair's a choice, though. She snapped 3 photos before I could respond, her fingers already flying across the screen. Hashtag family reunion, hashtag Sterling style. The crowd swelled clients, vendors, local society reporters my parents had strategically invited. The DJ, one of Graham's new hires, set up near the pool. Floodlights blazed to life as the sun dipped lower, turning the backyard into a stage. I was getting a drink when Loretta's hand clamped onto my elbow. "We're doing the toast in 5 minutes. You'll stand between your father and me." She produced a hair tie from her pocket. "At least pull it back. I'm 32 years old, Mom. And you're still my daughter, representing our brand." Brand. Everything was always about the brand. Graham appeared, champagne flute already raised for practice. There's my forensic genius still digging through other people's dirty laundry. "It's called regulatory compliance, Dad." "Same thing. Smile more, sweetheart. You look like you're auditing us." Maybe I should have been. The toast began at 6:30 p.m. Sharp. Graham's booming voice drew everyone toward the makeshift stage area. I stood between my parents as instructed, watching Brielle livestream from the DJ table, her ring light creating a perfect halo. 35 years ago, Graham began. Loretta and I decided that every moment in life deserves to be beautiful. That's when I felt the cold metal against my neck. Scissors. My mother had pulled scissors from behind her back, the same silver pair she'd used for ribbon-cutting ceremonies. Before I could process the betrayal, Graham's hands locked onto my shoulders. "Sometimes," Loretta announced to the crowd, "even family needs a little refinement." The first cut made a sound like tearing silk. 8 inches of hair hit the white patio tiles. The crowd laughed nervous, uncomfortable, but they laughed. Someone clinked a glass. Brielle's voice rose above the rest. "Oh my God, now she's funny. This is content gold. Cut, cut, cut." Each snip deliberate, performative. My mother narrated like this was a demonstration at her finishing school. Professional women understand that presentation is everything. The floodlights turned my humiliation into theater. Every phone became a camera. The DJ, either too stunned or too new to intervene, kept the background music playing. When Loretta finally stepped back, my hair lay in dark clumps around my feet. Uneven chunks remained, making me look like I'd lost a fight with a lawnmower. "Much better," she declared. "Now you look appropriate." The crowd applauded. They actually applauded. But in that moment, standing under those harsh lights with my parents' hands still on my shoulders and my cousin's camera still rolling, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I looked directly into the nearest lens Brielle's phone and smiled, because I'd just realized something beautiful. They'd filmed everything. The live stream marker blinked red in the corner of her screen. The DJ's equipment included a backup camera. The floodlights they'd installed for their perfect party had turned their crime into evidence. They wanted a show I'd give them, one they'd never forget. The bathroom mirror showed the damage clearly. Chunks missing. Bald patches where Loretta had cut too close to the scalp. One side longer than the other. I looked like a survivor of something violent, which, legally speaking, I was. I pulled out my phone and started documenting. Photos from every angle. The timestamp read 8:43 p.m. My hands stayed steady. Years of detail-oriented work had trained them well. Each photo went immediately to 3 different cloud services. A piece of hair lay across the white marble sink. I picked it up with tissue paper, placed it in a Ziploc bag from under the sink, and labeled it with a Sharpie. Evidence to Sterling residents, 8:43 p.m. The irony wasn't lost on me. My parents had spent my entire childhood grooming me into their vision of perfection. No chips allowed at birthday parties. Ladies don't eat with their fingers. No laughing with my mouth open. Control your expressions. Ava. No natural hair texture. It looks unprofessional, unkempt. At 15, I'd wanted to play softball. Loretta enrolled me in her junior ladies refinement program instead. At 18, I'd chosen forensic accounting as my major. Graham called it unseemly for a woman to dig through garbage. At 25, when I'd landed my position at Mercury Vale Compliance, they'd told their friends I worked in financial services, less embarrassing than admitting their daughter investigated corporate fraud. Now, at 32, they'd literally cut me down to size in front of 100 witnesses, but they'd forgotten what I did for a living. I knew chain of custody protocols. I knew documentation standards. Most importantly, I knew Illinois state law, and what they'd done qualified as battery, harmful or offensive touching without consent. The fact that we were family legally irrelevant. The public humiliation that added intentional infliction of emotional distress. My phone buzzed. Brielle had tagged me. Family makeover gone right. Sterling-style power transformation Tuesday. The video already had 300 views. Perfect. I screenshotted everything. The post. The view count. The comments already rolling in, some laughing, some shocked. Each screenshot got backed up, time-stamped, cataloged. Then I called Dr. Patricia Hendricks, my primary care physician. Her after-hours service picked up. "I need to schedule an emergency appointment tomorrow," I said. "I've been assaulted. Yes, I'm safe now. I need medical documentation of injuries." The cuts on my scalp, 3 places where the scissors had nicked skin, throbbed as I talked. That was battery causing bodily harm. A more serious charge. Next, call Marisol Vega, my best friend since college and now a civil attorney at Bayshore and Flint. She answered on the second ring. "Ava, you sound weird. I need you to watch Brielle's latest TikTok. Then I need you to start a file." "Are you okay?" "I will be." I heard her typing. Then a sharp intake of breath. "Holy shit. Is that... Did your parents just... Battery, assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Probably false imprisonment given that your father physically restrained me. All filmed. All live-streamed. Jesus. Ava, what do you need?" "Preservation letters. Every vendor at that party, the DJ, the catering company, anyone who might have footage. Draft them tonight. Send them first thing tomorrow." "On it." "And Ava, I'm sorry. Don't be. They just gave me everything I need. I walked back to the mirror and picked up Graham's electric razor from the cabinet. He kept one in every bathroom, part of his always camera-ready philosophy. With steady hands, I evened out what Loretta had butchered. The result was stark, almost military short, nothing like the long curls I'd worn since college. But it was my choice, my hands, my decision. That was the difference between grooming and growing, between being cut down and cutting away. They'd tried to make me smaller, more manageable, less myself. Instead, they'd freed me from any lingering obligation to protect them. I made a list in my phone: medical documentation Sunday, 9 a.m. Pull Brielle's livestream metadata OSINT. Search for all social media posts from Party Check DJ's equipment for backup recordings. Illinois State Bar Battery Statute Review. Preservation letters. Marisol handling. Investigate Sterling soirees. Financial records. That last item made me pause. Something about tonight felt orchestrated beyond the usual Sterling family theater. The supposedly new DJ, the professional lighting setup, Brielle's convenient positioning with her camera. Had they planned this? Was my humiliation meant to be content? I picked up the bag with the hair sample. In forensic accounting, we had a saying: follow the money, but document the path. Every transaction tells a story. Every receipt has a reason. My parents had taught me that appearances mattered more than truth. They were about to learn that evidence mattered more than both. Brielle's TikTok had exploded overnight. 20,000 views. The comment section was a battlefield, half calling it iconic, half calling it abuse. But she'd edited the video, cutting it to start right when the scissors appeared, adding peppy music, captioning it, "When your auntie takes makeovers seriously." The original livestream, however, told a different story. I sat at my home office desk at 6 a.m. Sunday morning, running OSINT protocols I usually reserved for fraud investigations, social media aggregators, cached pages, metadata extractors. The DJ Marcus Williams, according to his Instagram, had posted stories from the party. In the background of one, you could see the entire setup: Graham holding me, Loretta cutting, the crowd watching. But the real gold came from an unexpected source. The Sterling Soirees official Facebook page had streamed the entire event. Behind the scenes at our founder's celebration, some junior social media manager had forgotten to stop recording when the toast turned into assault. I downloaded everything, original files, not screenshots, metadata intact, timestamps preserved. Then I found something odd. The DJ equipment, a full professional setup with dual cameras, was billed through a new vendor, Sterling Soirees Promotions LLC. I pulled up the Illinois Secretary of State business search. The LLC was registered 8 weeks ago. Managing member Brielle Sterling. My 22-year-old cousin had created a subsidiary of my parents' company. I dug deeper, accessing public filing records. The LLC had a business bank account at Ironbrook Trust, multiple payments flowing between Sterling Soirees and Sterling Soirees Promotions, services listed as content creation, brand development, social media management, classic shell game. I'd seen it 100 times at Mercury Vale. Create a related entity, shuffle money between them, inflate expenses or revenue as needed. My phone rang. Loretta. Ava, darling, about last night. You assaulted me. Don't be dramatic. It was a spontaneous bit of fun. You know how these family events are. Spontaneous with professional lighting and multiple cameras. A pause. You're overthinking, as usual. Look, I have a wonderful hairdresser, Vanessa at Pavilion Salon. She can fix everything. My treat. Fix what? Exactly. The unevenness, obviously. Make it more feminine, professional. Like you did. Ava. Her voice sharpened. You're being difficult. This affects our brand. The Brennans were concerned. I hit record on my phone. Mom, to be clear, you're saying you cut my hair without permission because of your brand. I'm saying I helped you look more polished. You've always been too stubborn about your appearance. Even as a child, you fought us on everything. The diet plan, the posture classes, the eating restrictions that gave me anxiety around food, the posture training that made me afraid to relax my shoulders. Refinement requires discipline. Assault requires consent, which I didn't give. She laughed, that tinkling, practiced sound she'd perfected over decades. Assault Ava, please. No one would take that seriously. We're your parents. Say that again. We're your parents. We know what's best for your image. Thank you for clarifying. I ended the call and saved the recording. Illinois was a two-party consent state for recordings, except when documenting crimes against yourself. Another gift from my parents' hubris. Dr. Hendricks saw me at 9 a.m. sharp. She documented everything clinically. 3 lacerations on the scalp, photographs of the uneven cutting pattern, notes about non-consensual hair removal in a public setting. She knew my family by reputation. Everyone in Hawthorne Ridge did. This is assault. Ava, she said quietly. You know that, right? I know. What are you going to do? What I do best. Follow the evidence. Marisol called as I left the medical building. Preservation letters are out. Also, I found something. Your cousin's LLC. It received $40,000 from Sterling Soiree 2 weeks ago. Payment description. Event documentation package. They paid Brielle $40,000 to film the party. Looks like it. But here's the interesting part. She then paid that exact amount back to different Sterling Soiree's vendors. Catering, flowers, the DJ. All vendors who were already paid directly by the main company. Double billing, invoice inflation, tax games, the kind of thing that could destroy a company's reputation if exposed. There's more, Marisol continued. The Ironbrook Trust Anniversary Gala next month. Sterling Soiree is the lead coordinator. Ironbrook's putting up $200,000 in sponsorship. Ironbrook Trust, the most conservative bank in the region. Their entire brand was built on tradition, integrity, family values. They'd drop Sterling Soirees in a heartbeat if they knew about potential financial impropriety. Send me everything, I said. Ava, are you thinking what I think you're thinking? I touched my shorn head, remembering the sound of the scissors, the laughter, the cameras. They wanted to make me smaller, I said, but they forgot I'm trained to find what people try to hide, and they just gave me probable cause to look. The financial web was more tangled than I'd expected. Working from my home office, I built what we called a relationship map in forensic accounting boxes for entities, arrows for money flow, red flags for suspicious patterns. Sterling Soiree had 3 subsidiary LLCs, all registered within the past year. Sterling Soiree Promotions Brielle's company. Sterling Soiree Venues registered to Graham. Sterling Soiree Academy Loretta's Finishing School. Newly incorporated. The money moved in circles. Sterling Soiree would pay promotions for marketing. Promotions would pay venues for location scouting. Venues would pay Academy for staff training. Academy would pay back to Sterling Soirees for administrative services. Round and round, 40,000 here, 60,000 there. Each transaction generating a paper trail that looked legitimate individually, but painted a different picture collectively. They were washing money through their own companies, inflating revenue, possibly evading taxes. I photographed my whiteboard diagram, then opened my laptop to file an anonymous whistleblower complaint with Ironbrook Trust's compliance department. Banks had strict know-your-customer requirements. If they were sponsoring Sterling Soirees without knowing about these shell companies, they'd want to investigate before their gala. The tip was submitted at 2:30 p.m. The auto response promised review within 72 hours. The gala was in 3 weeks. My phone buzzed. Graham calling. I activated my recording app before answering. Princess, we need to talk. About the assault or the financial fraud. Silence. Then, come by the house? Your mother wants to apologize. Put her on speaker. I'll listen now. Shuffling sounds. Loretta's voice, carefully modulated. Ava, I'm sorry if you felt upset about last night's styling. If I felt upset. You're right. I'm sorry you were upset. Still not an actual apology. I pushed harder. Mom, did you plan to cut my hair before the party? What, no. It was spontaneous. Then why did Brielle receive $40,000 2 weeks ago for event documentation? Another silence. Graham's voice returned. How do you know about that? Public records, LLC filings, bank transfers that look suspiciously like money laundering. You're investigating us. His tone shifted from cajoling to cold. Your own family. You assaulted me, on camera, after paying someone to film it. You don't understand business. Ava, these are legitimate marketing expenses. Really? Then you won't mind if Ironbrook Trust's compliance department takes a look. The silence stretched so long I checked to ensure the call hadn't dropped. Finally, Loretta spoke. What do you want? Originally an apology, maybe some accountability, but now I'm curious about why you need to inflate revenue so badly. Are you in trouble? We're not discussing this over the phone, Graham snapped. Come to the house. So you can ambush me again? No. If you want to talk, meet me at Marisol's office, with your lawyer. We're not bringing lawyers into a family matter. You brought scissors into a family matter, and cameras, and $40,000 in suspicious payments. Ava, Loretta's voice turned steel sweet. You're overreacting. Think about your reputation. Do you really want to be known as the woman who sued her own parents, who destroyed their business over a haircut? You mean the business built on teaching young women to accept whatever's done to their bodies for the sake of appearances. We teach refinement, you teach submission, and you just demonstrated it publicly. Graham cut in, stop the complaint to Ironbrook. Now. I can't stop an anonymous tip. Bullshit. Stop it. Or what, you'll cut my hair again? Oh wait, there's nothing left to cut. We'll tell everyone at Mercury Vale about your history, the anxiety, the therapy, the eating issues you had in college. I laughed, surprising myself. The anxiety you caused, the therapy needed because of your refinement, the eating issues from your control. Go ahead. Explain to my employer how you gave me the exact trauma that makes me excellent at recognizing manipulation and control tactics in financial crimes. You're making a mistake, Graham said. No. You made the mistake. You forgot that I'm not 15 anymore. Desperate for your approval. I'm a forensic accountant who just found probable cause for financial fraud. And you committed assault, on live stream. No one will believe. Everyone already believes it. The video has 50,000 views now. The comments are calling you abusers. Brielle's trying to do damage control, but she can't delete the internet. I heard muffled arguing on their end. Then Graham returned. Fine. We'll pay for your hair treatments, therapy, whatever you need. I need you to admit what you did, on camera, at your gala. Absolutely not. Then I'll see you there anyway, with my evidence, and my lawyer, and every documentation of your financial improprieties that I can legally share. You wouldn't dare. You put scissors to my head in front of 100 people. There's nothing I wouldn't dare. I hung up and immediately backed up the recording. 3 cloud services, 2 external drives, 1 copy to Marisol. The whistleblower complaint to Ironbrook would take time to process. But I had 3 weeks to prepare something better, something public, something that would show everyone exactly what Sterling Soiree really sold, the illusion of perfection built on control, coercion, and casual cruelty. They wanted their gala to be memorable. I'd make sure it was unforgettable. The production studio Northline AV operated out of a converted warehouse in downtown Hawthorne Ridge. I'd found them through a colleague who'd used them for corporate compliance training videos. They specialized in documentary work, exactly what I needed. So, let me understand, said James, the lead producer, reviewing my materials. You want to create a presentation about coercive control in family businesses, specifically about how refinement programs can constitute abuse. I have 2 women willing to speak on camera about their experiences at Sterling Academy. He studied the release forms I'd brought. These women, they're okay being filmed. They want their stories heard, though we'll shoot them in silhouette for privacy. And this plays when, during the Ironbrook Trust Gala, as an educational presentation about recognizing domestic abuse patterns in professional settings. James exchanged glances with his tech lead. Maria, that's the Sterling Soiree's gala, isn't it? It is. The same Sterling soirees where— He gestured at my shorn head. The very same. Maria pulled up the viral video on her tablet. 60,000 views now. The comments section is brutal. Good. People should see what happens when refinement is forced on someone. We spent 3 hours planning the production. The presentation would run exactly 12 minutes long enough to be devastating, short enough to hold attention. We'd intercut the witness testimonies with financial documents, the assault footage, and recorded admissions. That afternoon, I met with the 2 former Sterling Academy students at Northline's studio. Rebecca, now 28, spoke first. I was 16 when my parents enrolled me. Mrs. Sterling Loretta. She had this measuring tape. She'd wrap it around our waists every morning. If you'd gained even half an inch, you got no lunch, just water and celery. Catherine, 31, nodded. The posture board. Remember that. You had to stand against it for an hour if you slouched during lessons. She'd say, "Pain is just weakness leaving your body. Beauty requires suffering." "Tell me about the hair rules," I prompted. "Oh, God," Rebecca laughed bitterly. "Natural texture was forbidden. If your hair wasn't straight, you had to chemical treat it. If it was too dark, she'd suggest highlights. Too light, she'd recommend lowlights. Nothing was ever acceptable as it grew from your head." "She cut mine once," Catherine added quietly, "during a demonstration. Said my layers were aging me. Cut it all to one length, right there in class. Everyone watched. I was too scared to stop her. We filmed for 2 hours. Both women signed releases allowing their stories to be shared publicly. They wanted other girls to know what happened behind Sterling Academy's pink doors. Meanwhile, Marisol had been busy with legal preparations. "I've drafted the civil suit," she told me over dinner. "Battery, assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress. The video evidence is damning. But Ava, are you sure you want to do this publicly? At the gala, they made their choice to assault me publicly. I'm just returning the energy. And the financial stuff. Ironbrook's compliance department called today. They're opening a formal investigation. Asked for any supporting documentation I might have. Which you anonymously provided. Every spreadsheet, every invoice, every circular transaction, forensically documented. The next week, I transformed myself. Not back to who I'd been. That person had been cut away on those white patio tiles. I became who I was meant to be. I bought 3 sharp suits in charcoal and black, had my shorn hair professionally styled into something deliberately edgy. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see Graham and Loretta Sterling's daughter. I saw a professional who'd survived their worst and documented every second. The gala invitation arrived by courier thick cardstock. Gold, embossing Sterling soirees, presents an evening of elegance 2.0 celebrating traditional beauty in modern times. The tagline made me laugh. Traditional beauty. Modern times. They had no idea how modern things were about to get. I RSVP'd immediately, noting the +1 option. Marisol would be my guest. 3 days before the gala, I made one final preparation. I visited a small recording studio and created a backup version of the presentation, uploaded it to multiple platforms with scheduled releases. If anything happened to prevent the live showing, the internet would get it at 8:30 p.m. on gala night regardless. Brielle called that evening, her first direct contact since the assault. "Ava, cousin, hey, so about the gala." "What about it?" "Maybe you should skip, after everything. It might be awkward." "Awkward for whom?" "Well, you know, the family, the business. The business that paid you $40,000 to film my assault." She paused. It wasn't supposed to go that way." "What way was it supposed to go?" "Just content. You know, transformation content. It plays really well. I didn't know they'd actually assault me." "Yeah, but you kept filming." Yeah. "And you posted it." "I thought if I made it funny, it would be better. Like, reframe it." "You reframed assault as comedy." "God, when you say it like that." That's what you did, Brielle. And in 3 days, everyone's going to understand exactly what you did. What you all did. Ava, please, your brand is built on my humiliation. It's about to experience some corrections. I hung up. Then I called Northline to confirm everything was ready. The stage was set. The evidence was packaged. The truth was armed. Time to show them what real refinement looked like: precise, devastating, and perfectly legal. The Ironbrook Trust Gala transformed the Grand Meridian Hotel into what Loretta would call corporate elegance. Crystal chandeliers cast perfect light on perfect people. The backdrop behind the stage read, "Sterling Soirees 2.00 honoring traditional feminine excellence" in gold script. I arrived at 7:15 p.m., Marisol beside me in a sleek black dress. My own suit charcoal, tailored to surgical precision, made me look like exactly what I was: a professional who meant business. Ava. The shock in Loretta's voice carried across the entrance hall. She stood near the registration table in champagne silk, her smile fracturing as she saw my deliberately styled short hair. You came? I RSVP'd, didn't I? Your hair. She reached out as if to touch it, then pulled back. It looks so severe. It looks like my choice. Graham materialized, his tuxedo impeccable, his expression less so. Princess, we should talk. We should, but not now. You have a gala to run. I moved past them to check in, noting the bank executives clustered near the bar. 3 members of Ironbrook's board, including their chief compliance officer, Sandra Whitman. She'd been CC'd on my anonymous tip. The main ballroom buzzed with Hawthorne Ridge's elite. Local business owners, society reporters, the Brennans with their debutante daughter. And there, by the DJ booth, the same upgraded setup from the barbecue, stood Brielle, already live streaming. Ava. She waved frantically. You look different. I look like myself. Her phone stayed raised, capturing everything. I smiled directly into it, remembering another camera, another night. Still creating content. Always, it's my brand. How's that working out? The assault video must have great engagement. Her smile flickered. It's been complicated. Some people don't understand the context. The context of holding someone down and cutting their hair without consent. The context of family fun. Is that what your LLC invoice said? $40,000 for family fun? She lowered her phone. How do you? I investigate financial fraud for a living. Brielle, did you think I wouldn't follow the money? Before she could answer, the lights dimmed slightly, the 5-minute warning before the program began. I touched Marisol's arm and we made our way to the tech booth where Maria from Northline waited, dressed as event staff. Everything ready? I asked. Locked and loaded. The backup's set to auto-release at 8:30 if we can't play it live. I handed her the USB drive encrypted, password protected, containing 12 minutes that would dismantle the Sterling Empire. Password is consent, lowercase, 1 word. Poetic, accurate. I found my assigned seat, table 3, close enough to the stage to see everything, far enough back to avoid immediate intervention. Marisol sat beside me, her phone recording under the table. 8 p.m. sharp. Graham took the stage, his voice booming through the sound system. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an evening celebrating tradition, beauty, and the values that make American families strong. I felt my phone vibrate. A text from Maria. Ready when you are. Graham continued, Sterling Soirees has spent 35 years making moments beautiful. Tonight, we're proud to announce Sterling 2.0, an expanded vision that includes our new finishing academy, our event promotions division, and our venue management services. The shell companies. He was publicly announcing the very structure I'd reported. But first, Loretta joined him on stage. We want to share what beauty means to us, the discipline, the dedication, the occasional— She paused for effect. Tough love required to maintain standards. Several people glanced at me. The video had made rounds through Hawthorne Ridge's social circles. Speaking of standards, Loretta continued. We have a special presentation about the importance of proper grooming in professional settings. This wasn't on the program I'd seen. Were they actually going to address it? Brielle appeared on stage with a laptop. We've created a little video about transformation in beauty standards. Sometimes family knows best. My blood chilled. They were going to spin it, make it part of their brand story. I stood up. Every head turned. Ava, Graham's voice carried warning through the microphone. Please sit. I have something to share first, about consent, and standards, and what really happens at Sterling Academy. Sandra Whitman from Ironbrook leaned forward, interested. I walked toward the stage, pulling out my phone. Maria, please play the actual presentation, the one with truth in it. The main screen flickered. Graham rushed toward the tech booth, but Marisol stepped smoothly into his path, not touching, just standing, recording everything on her phone. The screen came alive. There I was, under floodlights, Graham's hands on my shoulders, the scissors flashing, my hair falling. The sound crisp and clear, Loretta's voice. Professional women understand that presentation is everything. Then the screen split. Financial documents on one side. Rebecca's silhouette on the other, her voice clear. She would measure us every morning. Half an inch gained meant no food, just water. Gasps rippled through the ballroom. Catherine's testimony followed. The pain was supposed to make us beautiful. She cut my hair in front of everyone. I was too scared to stop her. Then the Financial Web LLC structures, circular payments, inflated invoices. Each transaction highlighted, traced, explained in simple terms. The room erupted. Phones appeared everywhere, recording the recording. Brielle's live stream chat exploded with viewers flooding in. Turn it off, Graham shouted, but Maria had locked the system. The presentation would run its full 12 minutes. The final segment began my recorded phone calls. Graham's voice threatening to expose my mental health issues. Loretta admitting they cut my hair for the brand. Their admission that they knew about the $40,000 payment for documentation. I stood at the front of the room, watching my parents' empire crumble in real time. This is defamation, Loretta screamed. It's evidence, I said clearly, my voice carrying without a microphone. Every word true, every document authentic, every story verified. The screen went black, then displayed a single line. Assault is not refinement. Coercion is not beauty. Consent matters. The silence lasted 3 seconds. Then Sandra Whitman stood up. The screen blazed back to life without warning. This time, the full live stream from the barbecue played unedited. Every second of it. The lead-up conversation where Loretta complained about my wild hair, Graham calling my career digging through garbage. The moment they coordinated Graham moving behind me while Loretta retrieved the scissors she'd hidden behind the cocktail station. Sometimes family needs refinement, Loretta's recorded voice echoed through the ballroom. The scissors opened with a metallic whisper that the DJ's professional mic had captured perfectly. The footage showed what I hadn't seen that night, the crowd's real reactions. Not laughter, but shock. Hands covering mouths. People stepping backward. One woman pulling her own daughter closer protectively. The nervous laughter came only after, when social pressure demanded they treat assault as entertainment. Then came something new. Maria had pulled footage I didn't know existed. The DJ's backup camera had kept rolling after the toast. It caught my parents high-fiving. Caught Brielle saying, "That was even better than we planned." The face she made caught Graham responding, "40,000 well spent." The screen split into 4 quadrants. Top left, the assault in slow motion. Each cut deliberate and violent. Top right, medical photos of my scalp lacerations. Timestamp visible. Bottom left, the financial flowchart. Each fraudulent transaction highlighted bottom right a rolling count of Illinois statutes, violated battery, assault, fraud, false business records. The audio shifted to my recorded call with Loretta. "We're your parents. We know what's best for your image." Then Graham, "Stop the complaint to Ironbrook or we'll destroy you." The presentation evolved into something darker, more surgical. Maria and her team had added public records 3 lawsuits against Sterling Academy from former students, all settled quietly. Health department complaints about unsafe dietary restrictions. A former instructor's sworn statement about being fired for refusing to enforce the measuring tape policy. Across the ballroom, phones lifted like salutes. Every guest was recording. Brielle's livestream viewer count climbed past 10,000. Comments flooded in faster than anyone could read. Loretta rushed toward the tech booth, her heels clicking like a countdown. She grabbed at cables, yanked at cords. Nothing happened. Maria had run everything through backup systems, redundant connections. The show would finish. "Security!" Graham bellowed. "Stop this! It's terrorism, corporate terrorism!" But security stood frozen, watching the screen where Graham's voice played again. "These are legitimate marketing expenses," followed immediately by the invoices showing the same services billed twice, money moving in circles, classic fraud indicators highlighted in red. The screen changed again. Now it showed the full chain of custody, every piece of evidence time-stamped, verified, backed up. A forensic accountant's masterpiece of documentation. At the bottom, a rolling ticker. All materials provided to relevant authorities. Illinois State Attorney's Office. Department of Revenue. Ironbrook Trust Compliance Department. Sandra Whitman from Ironbrook was on her phone, her face carved from stone. I heard her saying, "Emergency board meeting. Now. Yes. Tonight." The presentation entered its final act. Catherine and Rebecca appeared in full light they'd agreed to be shown after seeing the live stream footage. "I was 16, Rebecca said directly to the camera. "Loretta Sterling told me I'd never be beautiful enough for marriage unless I starved myself into her vision of perfection. I developed an eating disorder that took 5 years to overcome." Catherine followed. "She cut my hair as punishment for questioning why beauty standards hadn't changed since 1950. When I cried, she said tears were manipulative and ugly." Then came a parade of evidence I hadn't provided. Maria had done her own research. Former Sterling Soiree employees discussing unpaid overtime, vendors describing delayed payments unless they provided kickbacks. A bride showing her wedding video where Graham could be heard calling her chunky when he thought the mic was off. The timestamp in the corner read 8:27 p.m., 3 minutes until the backup would auto-release online anyway. That's when I walked onto the stage, not rushing, not angry, deliberate. The room held its breath. I stood under the same lights that had illuminated my humiliation, but this time, I controlled the narrative. "My name is Ava Sterling. 2 weeks ago, my parents assaulted me at a family barbecue. They cut my hair without consent to teach me refinement. They paid my cousin $40,000 to film it. Then they tried to bury it with threats and bribes. I pulled the Ziploc bag from my jacket pocket, the hair they'd cut, still labeled with the date and time. This is evidence. Chain of custody maintained. Every moment documented." I set it on the podium and looked directly at my parents. "You taught me that appearance matters more than truth, that control matters more than consent, that the family brand matters more than family." The screen behind me now showed a single document, the civil lawsuit Marisol had filed that afternoon. Battery, assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress, fraud. The damages amount was highlighted $2 million. "You were wrong," I continued. "Truth matters, consent matters, and tonight, everyone sees who you really are." I turned to the audience, recognizing reporters from 3 local papers, 2 TV stations, and countless social media influencers. Sterling Soiree sells the promise of perfect moments, but perfection built on assault isn't beautiful. It's violence with better lighting. The presentation reached its final frame, a simple message in white text on black background. No one has the right to touch your body without consent. No one has the right to reshape you against your will. Not even family. Not even for beauty. Not even for the brand. The screen went dark. The silence was absolute. Then, from the back of the room, someone started clapping. Then another. Then another. Not everyone, some sat frozen, processing what they'd witnessed. But enough. More than enough. Graham grabbed a microphone from the DJ booth. This is all lies manipulation. She's mentally unstable. The microphone cut out. Maria had killed the audio system. But Brielle's live stream was still running. The viewer count had passed 50,000. And at exactly 8:30 p.m., the backup version began streaming everywhere. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all with the same title, When Family Refinement Becomes Assault, a Sterling Soiree Story. The gala was over. The reckoning had just begun. Sandra Whitman stood up from Ironbrook Trust's table, her voice cutting through the chaos like a blade through silk. Mr. Sterling, Mrs. Sterling. Ironbrook Trust is terminating our sponsorship effective immediately. Our legal department will be in touch regarding the return of funds already transferred. The microphone was dead, but her voice carried. Every phone in the room captured her words. She turned to address the room. Ironbrook Trust does not associate with organizations that perpetrate fraud or assault. Our compliance department has been investigating Sterling soirees for the past week. What we've seen tonight confirms our concerns. Graham lunged toward her, but security, Grand Meridian Security, not his, stepped between them. You can't do this, he shouted. We have a contract, which includes a morality clause and a fraud provision. Sandra replied coolly, both of which you violated spectacularly. The dominoes fell fast after that. The Brennans stood up, the mother's voice clear. We're withdrawing our daughter's debutante ball booking. Don't contact us again. 3 more clients followed, then 5. Then a flood of people moving toward the exits, phones out, already posting, already sharing, already distancing themselves from the Sterling brand. Loretta collapsed into a chair, her perfect composure finally cracking. Ava, how could you? I walked over to her, crouching down to meet her eyes. You taught me this. Mom, image matters. You just forgot that truth matters more. We're ruined, she whispered. 35 years, ruined. No, 35 years of hurting women in the name of beauty is what's ruined. The empire you built on other people's insecurities just met accountability. Brielle stood frozen by her tripod, her live stream still running, but her face blank. The viewer count showed 73,000. The comments were brutal people sharing their own Sterling Academy horror stories, calling for investigations, demanding justice. My brand, she kept repeating. My brand is over. Your brand was built on my assault, I reminded her. It deserves to be over. So Marisol appeared at my elbow with a folder. The civil papers, they need to be formally served. A process server Maria had thought of everything walked up to Graham and Loretta. Graham Sterling, Loretta Sterling, you're being served. He handed them the lawsuit papers as 3 news cameras captured the moment. But the best part came from an unexpected source. A man in a dated suit approached IRS badge visible. Mr. Sterling, I'm Agent Coleman. We received some interesting information about your business structure. We'll need to schedule an audit. All 3 companies. Graham's face went from red to white. This is you can't. We can. We are. Don't leave town. The screen behind us flickered one more time. Maria couldn't help herself. She'd added a final touch. Security footage from the barbecue, but from a different angle. It showed me, immediately after the assault, looking directly into Brielle's camera. My face wasn't broken or defeated. It was determined, planning. The face of someone who knew exactly what evidence had just been created. The timestamp read 8:45 p.m. on the night of the barbecue. The preparation had begun the moment the scissors touched my hair. I walked back to the microphone, tapping it. Maria had restored audio for this final moment. Tonight, you all witnessed what Sterling Soiree really sells: control disguised as beauty, assault disguised as refinement, fraud disguised as family values. I looked at my parents, huddled together, their empire collapsing in real time. You asked me what I wanted when I called you. I wanted an apology, a real one, acknowledgement of what you did. You refused. The room was silent except for the sound of keyboards reporters typing furiously. So instead, I gave you what you've always valued most in audience: a stage, perfect lighting, and the truth you've spent 35 years hiding. I pulled out my phone, showing the screen to the room. The video of my assault had been reposted thousands of times, but now, with a different caption, "This is what domestic violence looks like, even in good families, even with pretty lighting, even when they call it love." "You wanted to make me smaller," I said to my parents, "to cut me down to fit your vision, but cutting my hair just freed me from the weight of your expectations." I touched my shorn head, my choice, my control, my decision. Every woman you've ever told she wasn't enough, she was. Every girl you measured and found wanting, she was perfect. Every natural curl you called unprofessional. Every pound you deemed excessive. Every tear you called manipulation. They were all valid expressions of humanity that you tried to polish away. The lawsuits would continue for months. The criminal charges were just beginning. The IRS investigation would take years. But in this moment, the Sterling Empire was finished. I stepped down from the stage, Marisol at my side. "Ready to go?" she asked. Almost. I walked to Brielle, still standing by her dead live stream. "For what it's worth," I said quietly. "You're 22. You can build a different brand, one based on truth instead of performance, one that doesn't require hurting people for content." She looked at me with tears streaming down her face, ruining her perfect makeup. "I don't know how to be anything else." Learn. I did. As we walked toward the exit, the crowd parted. Some nodded approval. Others looked away. But everyone had seen. Everyone knew. At the door, I turned back one last time. The Sterling Soirees banner still hung above the stage. Gold letters on white silk, celebrating traditional feminine excellence. Tomorrow, it would be evidence in a criminal case. Tonight, it was just another lie exposed by light. Graham's voice followed us out, desperate and cracking. "This isn't over. Ava, you're still our daughter." I didn't turn around, didn't respond. Because he was wrong about one thing, it was over, and I was finally, completely, free. Thank you for listening to this story of justice and reclamation. I'm curious, where are you listening from? Drop a comment below and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. Your own experiences and reactions mean everything to this community. Until next time, remember your body, your choice, your story to tell.